I'm Mari Dangerfield, and you're listening to Sound of Stylus, a podcast all about the stylophone and the people who do cool things with it. This series is sponsored by Musosoup. Musosoup is a platform that seamlessly matches artists and their songs to a curated selection of blogs, playlists, influencers, and radio stations. At the click of a button, artists can opt into a range of free or paid offers pitched directly to them, so they can be sure what they choose is suited to their budget and to them. Thanks to Musosoup, my music has featured on Our Sound Music, York Calling, Sound V System, Mystic Sons, and more. So, if you're looking for coverage for your new or upcoming release, head to musosoup.com or check the description. Please note that this episode features discussion of mental health. The PNK Stylophonic Giftshop, or PNK, is a stylophone-based musical and video performance group consisting of Smokey Stubbs, aka Matt, Fluff Tadpole, aka Dave, and Lazlo Giuseppe, aka Nick. Founded in 2019, they make musical covers of fun tunes, TV themes, and library music, as well as their own original material, all showcased on their YouTube channel. Fluff Tadpole, the musical mastermind behind the project, joins me to share more about their beginnings and future plans. Hello, Fluff.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Good. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Good. Apparently, this is what you were saying to me before we started. You are in a special purpose-built space for today.
Yes, that is right. Yeah, it's kind of part of my I can't call it rehabilitation, but when I was at my lowest ebb, I needed things to, concentrate my mind on. And one of those, we've got a great big garage out in our back garden. It doesn't get used for anything. And so half of it I've now converted into a music studio. So, I say music studio stroke home cinema. But yeah, so this is where I basically record all our stylophone music.
That's amazing. That's so good as well to have your own little space that you can just retreat to. That's really nice.
It is. It's lovely. Before I was up in a spare room, which also got used as a bit of a dumping ground, and so you end up getting more and more squashed into a tiny space. But no, this is fantastic. This is, I have to give a massive shout out to my elderly mother for helping fund me do it. But I did the whole thing single-handedly, so that was a good, something that I can be proud of.
That's fantastic. Well, it looks great. You're sounding great.
Thank you.
So I'm curious about something. So the PNK Stylophonic Giftshop, that's your name as a group.
Yeah.
It's quite an unusual name. Like, it's not the first thing that comes to mind, at least for me, for a musical group, which is great. Like, it's so original. Where did the idea for the name come from?
The whole thing started due to, I know we're going to talk about this, but mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I have had a couple of breakdowns in my working life. And it just so happened that during one of those times, I discovered that Smokey and Lazlo were both in the same situation. Mm. We were all, off work, on tablets, not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Lazlo I've known since I was 2, so I've known him for donkey's years. Smokey I've known, 20, 30 years probably now.
Amazing.
And just to find, 3 of us that have all kind of led different lives, all end up in that situation of feeling depressed and in a dark place. So we got together just as our own little support group, really. Me and Matt would hop in the car and whiz off down and see Nick. And during those times that we were all so depressed, I remember just sitting there thinking, surely there's something that the 3 of us could do that would remove us from the situations we were all in that made us feel so low.
Mm-hmm.
I must admit, years went by, still with that little idea in our head, until Smokey came up with the idea of doing stylophone music.
Okay.
And so we then were after a name that would suit us for stylophones, but also something that was a kind of an umbrella name for us. Because initially we didn't know that we'd end up playing the stylophone, or I didn't.
Oh, okay.
It was, what can we do to pool our talents? And the three of us try to create something. Obviously, Doctor Who was our first cover, and our first tune. And so we were just desperately trying to rack our minds. What would be good? Could we use the names of the towns that we come from? And so that's where the PNK comes from, Poole, Northampton and Kettering, which is where the three of us are based.
That's so cool.
And the SG originally was support group. So we were our own little Poole, Northampton and Kettering support group. 3 chaps, all with mental health issues, just trying to help each other get through the day.
Oh, wow.
And so, so Punk SG became this kind of umbrella term, but it fitted in with Doctor Who, because obviously Doctor Who originally, obviously because it's BBC, and the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
Right. I thought that might be one of the
and so and so really it was a case of, due to we wanted this umbrella term, we also wanted I mean, it is a convoluted idea, because the SG is the thing that can change depending on what we're doing.
You've really thought that through, though. That's really, really cool.
We have thought it through, but sometimes you think too much about stuff, and then it becomes so convoluted that you think no one's going to actually understand what you're on about or what you're doing. But that is the convoluted, reason behind it. So BBC Radiophonic Workshop and the PNK Stylophonic Giftshop worked a treat. And so that's how we came up with it.
It must be the coolest band name I've ever heard, honestly.
Well, you can, we do, I do refer to us as Punk SG a lot. And sometimes I refer to the Stylophonic Gift Shop as just the Stylophonic Gift Shop, but it's all part and parcel. And to be honest, now me and Smokey are really up and running with a Stylophonic Gift Shop. That could well be all there ever is. I don't know whether we'll end up ever doing anything else, because me and Smokey love doing this. It does take up all the time that we have, and so
that's lovely.
With Punk SG or the PNK Stylophonic Gift Shop, depends how much breath you've got in your body to say it. It's difficult, because the idea floated around for a while and we didn't really know what to do. It was Matt, Smokey, that turned around to me and said, "How do you fancy making stylophone music?" Because he's Mr. Retro. He loves all his retro stuff. And so stylophones, he just, I don't know, something clicked in his head, and he just turned around to me and said, "Oh, yeah, do you want to make music on stylophones?" And initially I was, what you mean, those little, just the little stylophones? And then he opened up the world of 350s to me and S2s. Yes, that's why really we ended up as the Stylophonic Gift Shop, thanks to Smokey's mad idea. And for me, it's become a little bit more serious, because since my last breakdown, I've not worked. So I literally am living off the love of my little family and my elderly mum, who put up with me. And so in the back of my mind, there's always that you've got to try to earn some money. But that's not why we really started it. It's to raise awareness of mental health issues. And to try to make people smile. I mean, I'm a very dark person in my mind, but we're trying to make this a positive, happy little corner of the internet. So
That's so beautiful.
yeah, so that's really why we
Really
started
lovely.
it.
Really nice. I mean, obviously, music is such an important tool for so many people for their mental health, myself included.
I
And
know, I do
it's
gather
the
that.
it's the truest form of self-expression, I think, that most people can find, and it is that first and foremost, of course. It's only kind of certain systems in place, obviously, that have enabled people to have it as a source of income if they want to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we don't have to believe that that has to be the case.
Yeah, no, you get so much from it. I mean, part of part of my part of the pleasure I get from this is actually completing tunes.
Mhm.
I've got endless amounts of things over the years that I've done, and none of them I consider finished. None of them I've really wanted to get behind and push because I haven't just not felt they're good enough.
Mhm.
I'm part of us doing Punk SG. Me and Matt said, if we're going to do it, we've got to stick to a schedule.
Mhm.
And often my partner Lindsay says to me, why do you put yourself under so much pressure to get to a deadline? But that deadline is the thing that makes you proud, and the thing that means at some point I've got to stop worrying about the music that I'm making, whether it be a cover or my own, and say, yes, Matt, that is now finished. We can release it.
Absolutely.
Whereas in the past, I've just never really had that output, and that's why me and Matt work so well together, because I'm a Luddite when it comes to social media and, modern technology, really. Whereas that's Matt's bag. So between us, we work really well together.
You're a dream team.
Well, a nightmare team, really, I think, because one of us is always trying to lift the other one. When one of us is feeling down, the other one's trying to chivvy them up, saying, "Come on, we can do this." And every 4 weeks, when we actually get a new video out, it's high fives all round, and we've managed to do it again. So
That's so good.
yeah,
I
it's
totally
little
relate.
victories, but sometimes you have to take those, don't you?
Exactly. And then you've got something that you can look back on and say, I did this, I achieved
Exactly,
this, and you can be
exactly.
proud of it. Like, what's
Yeah,
better?
and I am proud of what we're doing. I am very proud of what we're doing.
You should be. It's
Um,
fantastic. It's
oh,
so, so
thank you.
good.
It's really it's really appreciated. Really appreciated.
You've talked about Matt kind of introducing you to
Yeah.
stylophones.
Yeah, I mean, I've had stylophones in the past. I was around, when they first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they've, throughout my life, they've always been something that's been there, in popular culture or whatever. I've had them in the past and fiddled around, but I've never taken it as a serious musical instrument. And so when Matt originally said, let's try stuff on a stylophone, I was like, okay, so do you mean everything's got to be recorded on a stylophone? Can I add drums to it? Can I do this? Can I do that? I've got to grab one so I can lovingly stare at it.
Yay.
Looking at this little thing, thinking, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
How much variety can you make with ultimately quite a small, cheap, what you could consider as a toy? And yeah, initially I was thinking, well, I started messing around with a few ideas. And then he revealed the 350S. And
Right.
when he showed me that,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, I was kind of blown away by it. I wasn't aware of their
Ooh.
existence. Hang on, all of a sudden, here's a stylophone with, I don't know how many octaves you've got on that keyboard, 4 or so. And it just suddenly, it just opened everything up to me. Yeah, all of a sudden, when I was recording these stylophones, I was thinking, do you know what? this isn't that buzzy little wasp-like sound that you get from your ordinary S1s. You know, the 350, I love the kind of Hammond organy sounds you can get out of it. The brass stuff on it, you know, trumpets and things, for me, they're as good as most of the synthesized trumpets you get on, you know, in GarageBand or somewhere. Yeah, with a little care of recording, the 350 is a thing that absolutely blew my mind and blew me away. I went, this isn't actually a toy. We're not going to be necessarily making music that is gimmicky. We can actually make music that sounds really good with these stylophones. You know, it is gimmicky in a way because there's not everyone, I guess, that makes music from stylophones. It's not, you don't see it in the charts as much as you see a guitar or keyboard. Yeah, and then, you know, bless Matt, I started getting stylophones through the post. I suddenly had a Gen X through the post from him. I was going, Matt, you've got no money, dude. How can, you know, how can you really be supplying me with these stylophones?
That's amazing.
But I think, you know, he kind of knew, he knows me. He knew that if he started putting these things in front of me and saying, Dave, try to make some music on that, I'd give it the best go that I possibly could.
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, and so from the Gen X and the 350, obviously he's got his collection at his house. And then everything I've got at mine has either been a lovely gift from the lovely people at Stylophone, who've sent us a couple of freebies, or things that Matt has sent through. Has just said, Dave, I've bought some more stylophones. You better have one of these at your house. So I now here have, we've only got one Gen R8 between us, which I've currently got here. That gets moved back and forth. I've got 3 350s at the moment sat in front of me. One of them, now the reiteration stylophone on a 350, I believe shouldn't do anything unless you turn the reiteration on. So when you do, you get the beep, 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 beep. However, our 350S that we called Johnny 5, because it was Matt's 5th one that he bought. The reiteration. Yeah, so we've got 5 between us.
That's mental. That's amazing.
But Johnny 5 had this, we don't know why, but the reiteration stylus, if you turn the reiteration on, it would work as normal. If you turn the reiteration off, it would work like a normal stylus.
Oh.
So actually, I can suddenly hold 2 styluses in my hand and use the same keyboard.
Oh.
Which was a weird, I don't know what's wrong with it.
Something's really right with it.
Yeah, exactly. Sadly, as these things are circa 1970s, very much like myself, I went to change the batteries and one of the battery connectors has failed. So I have now replaced it, but it's making so much noise that I can't use it. So, which is a shame. So Johnny 5 is currently upside down with its bottom off and wires everywhere. And I need to have a really good look because, as you say, we think it's wrong, but it's a brilliant wrong.
Yeah, it's possibly a unique one as well.
Exactly. We were, you know, that's how I managed to. It sounds quite simple, but one of my favorite little bits of stylophoning that I've done was the heavy metal section of the Magic Roundabout.
Right.
Because there is a little solo in that sounds mad. It's got lots of runs, and that was all done on Johnny 5. And sadly, you don't see me play it in the video. But that was actually 2 styluses crossing hands. And I was impressed. I was impressed with myself when I did it. But sadly, it doesn't make it into the video.
Oh, but
which
that
is a
video is so
shame.
cool though.
But the
That
video, yeah, that was a cracker. We can get onto that because that was a cracker to make. Um,
Oh.
so instead, yeah, hence I've now got 350s because I've had to borrow another one off Matt. I've got them stacked up like a Hammond organ with two. And so I used one hand on one hand on the other, and that's how I've managed to record The Exorcist.
That is a real hack for anyone listening. Stylophone 350S stacking.
Yeah, stack them up. I mean, I think for our we weren't usually in our Halloween videos. We don't actually show any stylophonings because we leave it down to our little boys who, our little Michael and Jason that we've got who act in them. But for this, for The Exorcist, we may actually pop a bit in because Matt said he's too impressed with the stacked stylophones. They look too good not to stick in a video. So you may see a little bit of it.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, the 350 is just, it's got to be my favorite. If we were putting a plea out to the great people at Dubrek, my ideal stylophone would definitely be a 350 size keyboard with the functionality of a Gen R8. So you could have all the sounds, but a decent sized keyboard to play on. Because there's nothing like when you're doing a solo, there's nothing like being able to slide onto notes, slide off notes, do kind of big sweeps, and it's far better with a bigger keyboard.
And with a stylus as well, like a proper stylus with the wire on it, right?
Exactly.
Then trying to do it with your fingers. Yeah.
The Gen R8 for me, that's where that falls down. How can you call something a stylophone that doesn't have a stylus? So for me, that was where that has its little. For me, it's a little. Yeah, it's a little bit of a slip for me because I feel at least it should come with one. I don't mind if it's going to be wireless. Like the S2, because the S2 you get a stylus with, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely, yeah, my ideal stylophone would be a kind of 350 with all the knobs and things on it that you get with a Gen R8.
I'm totally with you with that one. Let's put 2 votes in.
Yeah, absolutely. We can lobby
if Dubrek are listening.
Because they know they'll sell at least 2, won't they?
Yeah.
Well, when Matt hears about it, they'll sell about 20 because he just buys endless amounts. So yeah, he's mad. He loves it. But amazing. You obviously see in the background of the videos, if they're ones that we're playing, you can see all his stylophones lined up across the back.
I know, your collection's incredible. It really is.
Yeah, I think he's got at least 2 of the early ones.
Right.
As I say, we've got 5 350s between us. We've got 2 S2s. Again, because Matt loves the collecting, but I said to him, look, we can only meet up a couple of times a week. It's just when I can get a car and get over there. We do all the filming at his house, but I do all the recording at mine. And it was very much a case of, Matt, it's fine you collecting all these stylophones, but if you think I can come over twice a week and record all the music, you've got another thing coming. It's going to take me a lot longer. So that's why, this tidal wave of stylophones just keeps coming my way.
Maybe someday you're going to have literally the same in your place as well.
Yeah.
You'll have a whole replica set in your own home.
Yeah, I mean, that is almost where I'm at. Mine are the ones that get used a lot. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone out there that's ever managed to wear the tip of a stylus down, but I'm getting very close to it.
What do you think personally? Because I know you've found a love for the stylophone. Everyone in PNK has found a love for the stylophone. That's why you started the group. But what do you think kind of draws other people to the stylophone? What do you think makes it so popular? Because it gets more and more popular all the time.
I think to begin with, I think part of it has got to be the kind of money entry point. To be honest, I don't know how much an S1 costs these days, but
Is it $34.99?
That's
Like that?
not a lot of money for a musical instrument, is it really?
Yeah.
I do feel with the S1s that they kind of fall maybe more into the toy category.
Definitely. That's how they were marketed at first, wasn't it? It was like a novelty toy and
exactly. I don't know whether anyone uses them in schools or anywhere. But as an alternative to something like the recorder, as a starting instrument, is fantastic. It's monophonic like a recorder is. It's it's got an octave of keys, so you can learn your notes on there.
It's so accessible, right?
It is. It is accessible. Because if you buy an S1, you buy an S1 and it is an S1. It's not like you go out and buy a guitar and there are lots to try and they all feel different and have different sounds and this and that and the other. Ultimately, you go to a shop and you say, I want to buy a Stylophone S1, and you get exactly what you expect, don't you? You can actually turn it down, which I think for people, any parents with kids that have done recorder at school, and they're at home trying to practice, it's probably not the best thing.
Honestly, I think that the headphone feature.
So the headphone feature, being able to plug your phone in and play music through it and play along is a cracking little feature as well. And the fact that you can actually turn them down. So if you want to not annoy people, turn it down, stick your headphones in. But to learn music on it would be a great little thing.
Totally
because it's simple. And I often think you can just get blown away by things that are too complex. Something that I found really helpful doing the stylophone music is that I have to work within parameters. We're working, these are our instruments. I put them through my guitar pedal, and I will add effects afterwards. But ultimately, it is me playing that instrument. When I write music out for Matt, I can't write it out as music because he won't understand it. So I have to go through and literally I write A, B, 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 A, B. But I do always split it into bars and I try to give him a vague indication of the timing by putting things through the bar, and obviously he'll then listen to it because usually I've recorded stuff first. So I'll record it and then I will go and say, here you go, Matt, you can listen to my recording, learn it. I've written everything down for you.
Right.
But even doing that, I'm often going to him, I just don't feel I can give you enough information on this piece of paper, whereas if I wrote it in music, I probably could.
Yeah, I think
it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. I know people have asked us for tabs online, and I know it would take me ages to sit and go through one of our tunes and write out the tab for it.
There's literally a whole community on Reddit that's constantly asking for tabs for everything. I don't know if
is there. No. I really am. I'm very much a Luddite when it comes to social media and being online. It sounds weird from someone that now has a YouTube channel, but that's very much Matt's bag. That's without Matt, I wouldn't be on YouTube at all, because I just don't think I have the gumption to be able to set everything up like that. So I bow down to him. I go, look, I'm just all I can do is make a few sounds on a stylophone. If you can help me out, then that's great. But that's what I do.
All credit to you for being the musical the musical
So, well,
mastermind.
I do try.
And to Smokey for doing the incredible videos.
I know he's fantastic. I think I don't know. Well, for you and me, music's probably our thing. Then, if we're feeling low, that's what we dive into. Smokey, he lives on his own. He has his comfy chair that he sits in, surrounded by screens. That's his place. That's his. I'm not feeling great, but if I can sit in my chair and edit videos, he's calm and happy and content. And that very much is his thing. That's what he enjoys doing.
So we've talked a little bit about the Doctor Who theme and how it inspired your name as a band.
Yeah.
That was presumably your first ever upload. It was uploaded on the 1st of January 2020. It makes excellent use of the beatbox and 350s. Can you talk us through a typical journey of making one of your videos from concept to final product?
Yeah, that's fine. It very much is a case of, I mean, to begin with, when the idea came out, we had, there was a little while, 6 or 7 months of me diving into the stylophones and coming up with things and going around to Mats and going, look, here's a version of Grandstand, or here's a version of Doctor Who that I've done. What do you think of it? But for Doctor Who, I'd done Doctor Who. Matt learnt it. One of the original things I said to Matt is, if I'm going to spend time doing this, I would actually like us to play the stylophones. I don't want to do something where we're sampling stylophones and then using the computer to put the notes where we want them. That's not my bag. It's if we're going to do it, technically we must be able to go out and play in front of people. Now that may well never happen, just due to our mental states, really. I would love to go out and play live, but I know Smokey's in a position at the moment where poor chap is feeling quite low. So whether we'll ever be able to, I don't know. But that was, for me, I don't want to start playing the stylophone, and if anyone asks me to play a stylophone, I'll then not be able to play it.
Yeah.
I want people to go, wow, this has all been done and someone's actually played all of this. So generally, I mean, Doctor Who was a very simple tune. We went right back to the beginning and kind of referenced the original Doctor Who theme. Because again, there are so many covers out there and different versions of it and official versions. So we kind of said, let's strip it all back and do something as the original would have been done. And due to his retro nature, I think Matt already had a TARDIS and, a little TARDIS model and Dalek models and the likes.
Yeah.
Luckily, my sister actually had knitted me a Doctor Who scarf, proper from the original, template for it, which is fantastic. So we had those few little props, and it was very much a case of, for that first video, Matt said, we will just play, green screen us, we'll play our parts, and then he will make lots of lovely visuals to go behind us. So everything you see on that Doctor Who video, they're all toys that he's had. We if we want anything spinning, often we'll just pop it on a record, pop it on a record deck. He uses a green slip mat. So you can, if you want a TARDIS to come whizzing on screen, you stick it on a turntable and film it rotating, and then he moves that around, around the space in the video. And that's how we do all our spinning stylophones and spinning TARDISes or whatever's going on. There's lots of putting them on turntables and getting them to turn around.
That's such a filming hack for stylophone special visual effects.
It is. I mean, actually, the very first video me and Matt did together, actually it may not have been the first one, was nothing to do with Punk SG, but we did a cover of Telstar that did all right. We've now actually reposted it on our site, but that was the first thing we did with a stylophone. And that was done on an S1. It wasn't as rigidly stylophone as we are nowadays.
I see.
And that has lots and lots of spinning stylophones. And for those, I strung them up on bits of green string and just spun them round.
Oh.
So you see all these stylophones spinning in weird directions. Literally, they're hanging off a bit of green string that you just spin and video.
So literally, if it's green, you can use it as a
Matt has he has green screen equipment at his house. So we put up a big green bit of material behind us, and then you key it all out. And so he's got lots of green. He's got bits of green that we can kind of stick anywhere.
So cool.
When it comes to videos. So that's how everything spins. Some videos or some ideas are far easier to come up with than others. I know I mentioned the magic roundabout earlier, but that was the idea. If you're going to do a cover if you're going to play the magic roundabout and do a video for it, the first thing that comes into your head is, well, for the video, you have to ride the magic roundabout.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I mean, what else is PNK gonna do?
Exactly. You have to ride the magic roundabout, which is fantastic. Unless, of course, you've never done any 3D modeling in your life. And the tune is about 30 seconds long. So, really, what are we going to do about it? So, I mean, again, that was something that I knocked up a very quick version on GarageBand of the Magic Roundabout theme. Again, I dived every time we do a cover. I listen to as many different versions of it as you can. I like to kind of get to know the song inside out.
That is such a tip.
Yeah,
good tip.
I just feel if I'm going to do someone else's music, now we don't generally. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but we don't generally go out to take a tune and do a completely different version of it. Our kind of thing is to make the best version of it that we can using our stylophones, rather than going, well, everyone's heard Doctor Who, we better do a drum and bass version of it just so it's different.
Yeah.
It was very much a case of, no, let's go back and see how close we can get to the original sound using stylophones. So that's often the base of it. So again, with the Magic Roundabout, I watched, you go on YouTube and watch the titles, but as the years go on, the titles change, and actually the music changes in the background as well. You realize that they use different versions of it. So I generally then discuss it all with Matt, and we decide what elements we're going to put in for our version, what we're going to leave out. And the Magic Roundabout was very much a case of knocked it up really quickly on GarageBand, thought it's only 30 seconds long. What does it sound like with a ska beat behind it? What does it sound like with a trap beat behind it? And we kind of went, this all works really well. That's the way we're going to do it. So when I came to recording that tune properly, I recorded in Cubasis, my own version of the tune. And one of the limitations of Cubasis is you can't change tempo. You can't put a tempo track in. So there's no way you can get a tune to speed up or slow down. It's one of the limitations of the iOS version of Cubasis. And you can't do that in GarageBand either. So I recorded my kind of basic version, and then loaded it into a new project of its own, sped it up by a few BPM, my own, our version of it, and then recorded more stuff over the top. And then when that was done, I'd take that and stick that into another new version. So each time, so there are 5 different projects.
Wow.
In that one little bit of the Magic Roundabout, but it was the only way I could do it. And that, in a way, again, for me, if I was on the computer, if I was on a PC where I know I can program in a tempo track, I wouldn't have had to think about it. Whereas because I'm working on the iPad and I can't do it in one go, you have to find a solution.
Yeah.
And that's what I find. One of the things I find most enjoyable about this is the fact that me and Matt are working in small parameters. We don't have loads of money between, we have very little money between us. So we're always scratching around for what have we got? What have we already got that can make a video?
I think that those limitations kind of have pushed you to find new ideas or new elements to include that you would maybe not have thought of.
Absolutely. I think it's fantastic. I'd rather kind of use something simple and hit the barrier with it, and then try to work out how you can go that step beyond. And so by doing that, we split it into the 5 parts. Each part got faster and faster. And then when it came to the video, as I say, we both looked at each other and said, we've got to ride the magic roundabout. So how can we make that happen? First of all, we had a look to see if there was any footage of the magic roundabout with no one sat on it, but there isn't.
Okay.
So because we had thought, Matt did a test again by taking some footage and using, I think he's got a stuffed Dylan toy from the magic roundabout. So again, you put Dylan on a green, sit him on a green triangle on the turntable of a record player. You film him spinning round, and then Matt can take that footage and actually map it onto the magic roundabout.
Okay.
So we tested that out first. So we managed to insert our own Dylan onto an original bit of magic roundabout footage, and he looked like he was going around the roundabout.
Okay.
So we then searched as far and wide as we could and couldn't find any footage of the magic roundabout going round with no one on it. So we said, well, we can't do that. The only other way is to do 3D modeling.
Okay.
And so literally we kind of had our usual 4-week turnaround for us to attempt to learn how to 3D model and create a magic roundabout.
No way.
All I can say is I'm really pleased that the music was quite easy to do, because that was quite swift, but the modeling took us ages. I went through 3 different programs on my iPad. I actually did the modeling of it.
Oh, cool.
I know now, if I had to do it again, I'm sure I could probably, I don't know whether I could do it better. I could do it quicker. But that was a case of, we don't know how we want to ride the magic roundabout, and no one is going to stop us, and we will go until we can ride a magic roundabout. And so it probably took us a good couple of weeks between us. Again, I'm working on my iPad, Matt's on PC, so we can't share the same program, but we're giving each other tips. So I ended up doing the main modeling, and Matt ended up managing to map the texture and the colors onto it. And between us, we ended up with a magic roundabout that we were both going, do you know what? For 2 people that have never 3D modeled before and have had to literally open programs and learn it for the first time, we were so proud. And then, so we got our 3D model, which Matt can then put into his bit of software. I think he uses Hit Film, which is a free piece of software. He could put that model into Hit Film, and he then created the 3D magic roundabout land behind it.
Wow.
And then to get us on it, we did have to spend money. Sometimes I go, Matt, you need to stop, mate. But he bought a turntable that would take our weight.
Oh, okay.
So then we green screened. He created the back of a horse out of dustbin, some cardboard, and green material. He made this kind of saddle, green saddle, on top of the turntable, and then we would one by one sit on it and very slowly do actions as we very slowly spun round. And then again, he took that spinning image of us, mapped it onto our new 3D model of the Magic Roundabout, and all of a sudden, me and him are riding the Magic Roundabout.
Wow.
And that was one of those cases, that was the Magic Roundabout's the best. Definitely brought the best in me and Matt out. And I think
I can see that,
because we said we wanted to do something that neither of us had experience in, and rather than just go, no, we can't, we went, right, we better get on. I better start downloading some 3D modeling programs and see what we can do.
That's sometimes the best part of these creative ventures, isn't it? You're forced to kind of learn new skills.
Yeah.
Then you're just like, oh, wow, now I know how to do this.
Absolutely.
Now I can make this video even cooler.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we do try to, one of our friends said to us, he thought the videos were getting better and better and better, and which I agree. I just don't know how long we're going to be able to keep it up for. You can't always get better and better and better, can you? Surely at some point you go, well, I think we're just about run out of ideas. But
well, I don't know about that. I think you're doing pretty well.
We try, but yeah, that is definitely Magic Roundabout definitely is a standout kind of triumph for me and Matt, I think. So yeah, I mean, we always chat everything through. On Mondays and Wednesdays we hook up. Once we've finished the previous month's video, it's always a case of what are we going to do next. Sometimes we have plans and we've got notes written down of tunes we'd like to do, or whether we think we should be chucking a new original tune in. But then it is very much a case, once we've established what we're doing, as we'll both sit and discuss it. I'll throw video ideas at Matt throws music ideas at me, and both of us take them on board, and generally we say our line is, if I ask for something in a video and you can't do it, Matt, as long as you can explain to me why you can't do it, I'm happy with it. And it's the same with the music. He'll say, can we do this or that? And I say, I can give it a go, and then I'll try it. And if it doesn't work, I go back to him and say, look, I have tried your idea, but it doesn't work because A, B, and C. So, I have final say as far as the music goes, and Matt always has final say as far as the videos go. But we're both always throwing ideas at each other.
So you both have very sort of clear visions of what you want to achieve on each end, and then you're just kind of using each other's skill sets to kind of find that.
Yeah, very much so. I would never step on Matt's toes when it comes to the filming. He's the one that I say he lives on his own, but you walk into his lounge, honestly, and one end of it is all PCs, or it's a PC, loads of screens where he sits and does his editing. The other end of it is where we do our kind of as live recordings. So if you ever see us in a video playing, that's at the other end of Matt's lounge, which has a great big tower that we MacGyvered together, with all our lighting on top of it.
Wow.
And yeah, screens so we can see what's going on, and cameras set up. I have often said to Matt in the past, I'd quite like us to make a video that is very much showing things as they are in reality before Matt has done his nice, editing.
That would be very cool.
And go, look, show the reality, because I know one of your favorites is Grandstand, the way Matt managed to stitch all of the stylophones in, and that's what he's brilliant at. Because he's I think there's lots of people that can make music and videos, there are lots of people. I mean, YouTube's full of people, and the internet is full of people making videos and stuff.
Mhm.
I must admit, I look at a lot of it and think why anyone would want to show people stuff that they put up there is beyond me to know. So very much it was a case of, to Matt, if we're going to do this, it at least has to reach a certain standard.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I'm not going to want to put my name to it, So, and I think that's the thing. It's having fun, but taking it seriously enough that when you go, yes, we finished, we've hit the deadline, you've done everything you possibly can to it in that time scale to make it as good as we can. And so for me, I'll spend ages twiddling with reverbs, trying to, find whether the reverb's right on something, whether I need to have different reverbs on different instruments. And they're the bits that I really enjoy, the getting into the depth of it, the actual sitting here recording endless amounts of tracks. And Matt's thing is very much sitting down and going, right, I've found a bit of stock footage of some sports that we can use. Now let's grab the stylophones and see if he can stitch them in. And that's what he does. And the fact that he will spend the time, he shows me videos and I look at them and go, Matt, that's great. And he goes, yeah, but there are bits around this that I need to neaten up, and I don't quite like that, and I need to neaten it up. And I'm thinking, to the layman, it looks great.
Yeah, it's already good.
But it's that attention to detail from him and me, I think, in our own little field, that hopefully does actually make it sound, make the audio and visuals a little bit better than two idiots just banging up any old rubbish, for the sake of a video.
Much better than that. Much better than that. Tune in next week for part 2 of PNK SG's episode. If you're enjoying this episode so far, it would mean the world if you could give the podcast a 5-star rating and share the episode on social media, tagging me at Mari Dangerfield and the podcast at Sound of Stylus. You can find us on Instagram at Sound of Stylus and on YouTube by searching Sound of Stylus.